Please tell them who you are and what you do.
Well, I have the privilege for have been involved with a single family office in Silicon Valley for 33 years. The founder and the owner of the office was Alejandro Zaffaroni, a biochemist and very distinguished pioneer here in Silicon Valley. He arrived in 1963 with Syntex, the company who was the pioneer on the anti-conceptional pill. And then in the late 60s, he created his own company, ALSA Corporation, which basically was the first company to exist in the world in drug delivery. And then he continued to do a lot of developments and new companies in new areas in biotechnology, drug delivery, and medicine in general.
But do you invest in companies directly, or you invest into funds who invest in companies?
We invest in all across asset classes in general, with a strong bias to biotechnology, drug delivery, and healthcare. But also as a matter of diversification, we invest in all asset classes: venture capital, private equity, bonds, stocks.
Well, you obviously have been around the world and you've met all kinds of investors.
I did.
So, question I have for you, if somebody just made enough money and they decide to invest, what are the typical mistakes a new investor would make and that are avoidable? Because some mistakes are not avoidable, as you know. But what is avoidable?
Well, I will say I am not a great believer on diversification. I'm much more a believer in invest in the areas that you understand and you have passion for it, because they give you basically the resilience to continue when things are tough. And the sector that I developed my professional career here was biotechnology in general and healthcare, which is a very tough sector. It is long periods, the FDA in the middle, 10, 15 years to produce a drug, $1 billion to produce a compound who could be a drug. So
what mistakes do earlier investors make? Now that looking back at your experience.
Usually people made the mistake. I mean, the big thing that you need to do is to find the right people. And if you like a sector but you are not completely into it, get the best venture capital or private equity and people who has the experience in the sector, and ask them the question. Use them as a broker.
So do not go into the industry if you're not an expert. If you want to get into that industry, bring an expert.
Absolutely,
with you,
absolutely.
Right? How do you make sure that you stay with the company through all the stages? So you invested in the beginning, but then what? Then other investors come in and you don't have any control anymore.
This is a tough one, because the history of venture capital is relatively new, 40 years here, 50, let's say. So but I have seen all the changes, people who venture capital groups, early stage investors, but when circumstances change, they become, buying pipes and doing, it wasn't, the lines were not as blurry. But the idea is to try to invest with a company and a concept that you believe in, and have the financial resources to try to invest in every stage, depending on obviously, your interest, but in every stage. The beginning is crucial, but round A, round B, to plan it and do your sort of budgeting in order to continue to participate on the developments.
Do you have a favorite story of a successful investment your company has made?
Well, I mean,
I know you have a lot.
My boss. I can't. I mean, I can't talk of my boss, but I mean, when you think about Syntex, 3 generations of women planning their career and their life because they can plan in the family, etc. And there is a lot of anecdotes about the times of Syntex and the anti-conceptional pill. But one of the funny ones was that sometimes, in a cocktail party, one of the top executives of the company, somebody asked him, well, what is your business? What are you doing? I said, I am in the entertaining business. And the guy said, I thought you were in pharmaceuticals. Yeah, we are in pharmaceuticals, but basically we produce the anticonceptional pill. If you can think better entertainment than sex with no consequences, tell me what it is, because that's a funny one and it's a true one.
Well, yeah, it's a true one. Also, it made a whole revolution.
Absolutely.
And the consequences were immense.
And also population control that regretfully we don't embrace as we should in the 60s and the 70s.
What is the worst investment your company has made?
When you are such a long career or so, you do a lot of good investments and a lot of bad investments, etc. There were a lot of companies that we invest in. We were fantastically, technically, and were real advances, but financially were a disaster. All the money almost was lost.
And is it because you got attached to a company?
No, our sector is a tough sector. The FDA, long process of approvals, letter of rejection, capital intensive sector as well. I won't say the worst. We use the concept of the portfolio. You invest in 20 companies, you know that 15 of them will be, not making money. 2 or 3 will be so-so, and the other 2 will pay for the whole thing. So.
Yeah, right. No, that's the theory. Sometimes it does not work out.
Sometimes not.
If you were to give one advice to a beginner investor,
yes,
what would you say?
Try to invest as young as you can, even small amounts of money. Today, the financial markets have produced a vehicle for people with little money to invest in dedicated funds, etc. Invest in something that you have a passion for it, and follow up and continue to be informed, and it will be a winner for you one way or the other, perhaps financially, but also the way that you will grow up as a professional or as an individual. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. Very nice to.